What if one of Alice Cooper's darkest and most ambitious albums was hiding in plain sight for years and only reveals its true power once you're ready to hear it? That's the question I want to explore in this video, and one I'll come back to at the very end. But today we're taking a deep dive into The Last Temptation, an album that didn't explode commercially when it was released, and over time has grown into one of Alice Cooper's most respected and meaningful works. Before we get into the album itself, I want to show you my CD, then talk about my personal connection to it. So I'm going to do this on screen like this. I usually do it separately, but today I'm going to do it this way, just because this CD cover is pretty cool and it folds out into a comic book, which I'm going to discuss a little later on. So it has the comic on the bottom and the pictures up here. And on the other side, you have all of the lyrics, liner notes, and such. And here is the CD, which features all of the songs. Let me tilt it so it doesn't glare. And then on the back, you have the I, Alice's I. Pretty cool, and some songs and liner notes here. So that is all. I'm going to talk about the comic a little later, but let's continue. The Last Temptation came out in 1994, and at the time, my musical focus was somewhere else. Like a lot of people in the mid-90s, I was heavily into alternative rock. That scene was dominating the conversation. Radio, MTV, and that was all alternative grunge. And because of that, the album completely flew under my radar. I didn't ignore Alice Cooper as an artist, but this specific album just wasn't on my list back then. It wasn't until many years later that I finally sat down and gave The Last Temptation the attention it deserved. And the more I listened, the more it grew on me. Now, honestly, it has become one of my favorite Alice Cooper albums, especially one from the later career. And one of those records that proves great music doesn't have an expiration date. And sometimes you just need time and perspective to truly appreciate what an artist is trying to do. Let me give you a little bit of background. It was released on July 12, 1994, and this album is the 20th studio album. It came a few years after the slick pop metal sound of Trash and Hey Stupid, and the album marked a clear shift back toward something darker, more theatrical, and more story-driven. It's a full concept album, and in many ways, it's like a return to the classic Alice Cooper of the 70s, just filtered through a 90s lens. The album follows a character named Steven, the same protagonist first introduced in 1975's Welcome to My Nightmare. Steven is now portrayed as a teenager growing up in a middle American town. He encounters a mysterious and supernatural figure known as the Showman, who is portrayed by Alice Cooper himself. The Showman runs a traveling carnival called the Theater of the Real, where twisted morality plays are used to tempt people. Steven is offered a deal: join the carnival, never grow up, and escape the responsibilities and pain of adulthood. At its core, The Last Temptation is a coming-of-age story with a strong Faustian theme. Steven must choose between eternal youth and facing the difficult realities of growing up. It's dark, symbolic, and surprisingly emotional. One of the most unique aspects of the album is its collaboration with legendary comic book writer Neil Gaiman. Gaiman co-developed the story and wrote a 3-part comic book series that expanded the album's narrative. The first issue was originally packaged with a CD and cassette version of the album. Now, unfortunately, I don't have it because I bought this album many years later. The artwork was very impressive. Comic was illustrated by Michael Zulli, and the album and comic covers were created by Dave McKean, both frequent collaborators of Gaiman. This multimedia approach helped turn The Last Temptation into more than just an album. It became a full artistic experience. Musically, the album features some high-profile collaborators. Chris Cornell co-wrote and provided vocals on Stolen Prayer and Unholy War. Jack Blades and Tommy Shaw wrote You're My Temptation and It's Me, and Dan Wexler co-wrote several tracks, including the single Lost in America. And Derek Sherinian, he played keyboards, and he's a great keyboard player. He's one of the best keyboard players of all time. But let's go track by track. Opening track, Sideshow. Starts with some acoustic guitars. It gives it a very 90s feel, but once the heavier guitars kick in, reminded me a lot of Alice's 70s work. Song makes it clear right away that the theatrical Alice is back. It's upbeat, fun, features bright piano lines that add to the carnival atmosphere. The sideshow theme sets the stage perfectly for the story that is about to unfold. Nothing's Free also reminds me of early 70s Alice Cooper. Vocally, Alice takes on a recruiting style rather than the usual growl. It makes the song stand out. The raspy vocals return in the chorus, but what really caught my attention is the spooky spoken word delivery, which feels like a direct callback to Welcome to My Nightmare. It fits the concept beautifully. Lost in America is one of the most relatable songs on the album. Lyrics deal with the real-life frustrations, struggling to get a job without a car, dealing with a broken family, wanting stability. Even though it was written 30 years ago, it's still incredibly relevant today. Musically, it's a fun rock song with a strong hook. It remains one of the few tracks from this era that Alice still performs live. Bad Place alone has more than 90s alternative rock influence, but without losing Alice Cooper's identity. The guitar riff is repetitive but memorable, and the song features some excellent guitar work. It captures isolation and emotional tension very effectively. You're My Temptation is one of my favorite tracks on the album. It has a classic Alice Cooper feel with a creepy edge mixed with subtle alternative rock elements. The song is catchy, has a strong message about temptation, and includes touches of psychedelic rock. It perfectly represents the album's core theme. Stolen Prayer is a ballad with acoustic guitars and spacey textures. Alice delivers an emotional vocal performance. The song carries a positive, reflective message that fits the album's story. You can hear Chris Cornell's backing vocals, and the inclusion of a children's choir brings back that classic Bob Ezrin-style atmosphere. Unholy War turns darker and heavier. Guitars are more aggressive, bass is prominent, and the overall mood is sinister. At the same time, there are melodic moments that balance things out. Guitar solo is excellent, and the tribal drumming patterns add depth and identity. Lullaby feels like it could have come straight off of Welcome to My Nightmare. It's eerie, theatrical, sounds like a scene from a stage play. It works as a mood piece than a traditional song, but it's very effective in the context of the album. It's Me is a ballad that leans into country and orchestral influences, mostly acoustic guitar driven with sweeping arrangements and strong backing vocals. The chorus is catchy, and the song captures a key emotional moment in the story. Cleansed by Fire closes the album. This is a 6-minute climactic track. It's dark, it's uplifting, it brings the story to its conclusion. Alice delivers a powerful vocal performance, and the guitars are dynamic and expressive. Feels like a true finale and wraps up the concept in a satisfying way. Last Temptation is one of those rare albums I discovered much later in life. It holds up as well as the records I grew up with. It survives nostalgia bias completely. Songwriting, concept, and performances all stand on their own. It may not have been a massive commercial success in the United States, but artistically it restored Alice Cooper's credibility and proved he could evolve without losing his identity. For me, this album is a hidden gem and one of Alice Cooper's strongest later era releases. I'm going to give The Last Temptation 10 out of 10. And to answer the question I asked at the beginning, sometimes the most powerful albums aren't the ones that hit you immediately, but the ones that grow with you over time. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to check out a playlist of many more Alice Cooper album reviews that is appearing on the screen right now. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comments what you think of The Last Temptation. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.